Lunch, Lady Doris. Have you got any grease?
Yes, we do.
Then grease me up, woman!
Hey folks, this is Grease Scotsman. This video is going to attempt to explain the story of Boneworks, as I have seen a number of posts on Reddit, Steam, and elsewhere from players who, after completing the game, even multiple times, remain confused about the plot and the overarching story. It should also go without saying that this video contains massive spoilers for all games involved in the Stress Level 0 metaverse. This is your off-ramp if you have not completed both Boneworks and Duck Season and wish to remain spoiler-free. To set the stage for Boneworks, we need to first talk about a matter of perspective. The fourth wall is porous within the Stress Level 0 metaverse. There are times when entities or actors in the game communicate directly with the player, not the character being controlled by the player, in Boneworks, Arthur Ford, but the player themselves. Understanding this is crucial for some of the concepts that are going to be laid down later. Given this fact, I will endeavor to clearly say player when you, the person in the headset and at the controls, is intended, and will say character or use a proper name when referring to the character within the game. Second, it is vital to talk about Stress Level 0's previous game, Duck Season, as it provides a foundation for understanding the meta-story that is occurring both in and outside of the events of Boneworks. Hoverjunkers, Stress Level 0's first VR title, makes an appearance in both Boneworks and Duck Season, but its lore doesn't have many clear connections to Boneworks. Unlike most developers who release unique titles with wholly different stories, characters, and gameplay mechanics, every game in the Stress Level 0 catalog is tied together and part of the same universe. Almost all, if not all, of the lore and Easter eggs from both games have stemmed from the mind of a single developer at Stress Level 0 named Alex Knoll. In creating this guide, I spent weeks lurking and participating in the Stress Level 0 Bone Lore and Spoilers channels, exported the full logs, and read them through in their entirety. I also scoured Reddit and Steam for lore discussion pages in an effort to double-check assumptions and hone ideas. I also revisited a movie from 2004 called Primer that I had not seen in over a decade, as it was a keystone that Alex kept referencing when lore seekers dove into some of the deeper threads at work within the story. Whenever possible, I confirmed or recorded hints that came directly from Alex at SLZ, as he responded to my or other lore hunters' queries. Throughout this guide, I will try to indicate with screenshots or video footage anything that is backed up by events from each game, or chat logs from Discord, or other sources. While this guide contains several of my own ideas on Boneworks lore, I will also try to present ideas about which lore hunters have reached consensus. Separately, I will point out items that have been directly confirmed by Stress Level 0 themselves. Please consider this work a group effort, and I want to recognize and express deepest thanks to everyone who contributed to discussion within the Stress Level 0 Bone Lore and Spoilers Discord channels. Without everyone who participated, this guide would not have been possible. The first video of this guide will cover the foundations relevant to understanding Boneworks, specifically the Voidway, or Void for short, and a brief history of Monogon Industries, its operating system MythOS, and Monogon's virtual life simulation MythOS City. The company's prime competitor Gammon, and the private security firm Saberlake, which is known to take contracts from both Monogon and Gammon, will also be introduced. Some of the meta concepts at work, like the SCP field codes scrawled throughout Boneworks, will be briefly covered. The second video will finally dive into the main story events of Boneworks itself and tie everything together. The goal of this Foundations video is to provide enough background on the major actors, concepts, and general landscape so that the key interactions and events of Boneworks can be covered in detail in the follow-up video. On release, Duck Season appeared to be a simple VR homage to the old Nintendo throwback Duck Hunt. However, players discovered through experimentation that they could have their kid character, David, make different choices like whether or not to shoot the dog, and change the entire ending of the game. Doing so turned the strange and seemingly simple VR duck shooter into a bit of a horror and suspense game. Further experimentation uncovered a myriad of puzzles, the ability to combine objects together, and access very different endings. One of the hidden endings sent the player to a developer showcase room. On their journey to the showcase, players got clues from a mysterious entity only recognized as this X symbol. If you, dear player, were observant throughout Boneworks, you probably spotted this symbol in several places throughout the game. In Duck Season, X left warning messages for the player saying that the cat and the monkey were tricksters and should not be trusted. Listening to this message had a payoff, as not trusting the monkey in one of the secret rooms revealed yet another hidden area that, upon the release of Duck Season PC, contained one of the most important Boneworks lore pieces uncovered to date. These very same monkey dolls appeared throughout Boneworks and could be found in the main menu, break room, streets, tower, and throne room maps. The cat appeared in both Duck Season and Boneworks as a creepy and menacing cat clock. In Boneworks, the cat clocks were found at least in the break room, streets, warehouse, and, most obviously, the time tower. In the Duck Season Developer Showcase room prior to the PC non-VR release of the game, the showcase room had a hidden note from this mysterious X entity that told the player to return to the showcase when Duck Season PC released. Kid Wizard, I'm putting myself at great risk reaching you here. The showcase scene has been compromised. One of the cryptids is planning on crossing a gate here. Do not complete the puzzle. I repeat, the puzzle is a trap. But we can use this opportunity to stop them from bridging out. But we'll need some additional help. I will contact you again in this exact same location in Duck Season PC. The more you know, the more dangerous this all becomes. I'm afraid this time we may have to open the Boneworks. The Voidway was not meant to be used in such a frivolous manner. To showcase a game? They were not thinking. Before moving on, cryptids are animals or creatures that tend to show up in legend or myth, but have never been proven to exist. They defy the laws of nature. Think Loch Ness Monster, various animal demons, Chupacabra, Wendigo, and so on. Cryptids aren't always considered evil, but they're usually animal or animal-like creatures, and in the Duck Season universe, you learn very quickly that the cryptids, represented by the creepy cat clocks that haunted your dreams, and the dog that tried to murder you, had evil intent. In a Steam discussion post on the lore, Spencer at Stress Level 0, Pro MacGyver, challenged the idea that cryptids or demons of the game were just part of David's dreams, and confirmed that they are real entities when they enter our world or reality. In their warning, X also stated that the Voidway was not meant to be used in such a frivolous manner. To showcase a game? They were not thinking. Here, X was referring directly to Stress Level 0 themselves. Referencing this Duck Season warning message from X, Alex confirmed X is talking about us. Stress Level 0 inserted the company as an actor in their own universe, as they appear in the Duck Season Showcase room and the Streets level in Boneworks, where they're hard at work making a game called Fantasyland. When the Duck Season PC update occurred, returning to the Showcase room and solving a series of tasks led to a message scrawled on the ground in barely legible writing. Trailing off from this writing were a series of cat paw prints. This message was signed by 9. Hello, little one. 30 years waiting for someone to open a gate, and finally these fools decide to use the Voidway. These fools. These fools. These fools. Well, thank you for helping with my rescue. I left you a gift, but you can't have it just yet. First, you must be patient. There are others coming, but we must await their arrival. See you on the other side. 9. In addition to this note, this room now had 3 doors in it, adorned with the logos of Stress Level 0's upcoming titles. Gate 1, Boneworks. Gate 2, Dead FM. And Gate 3, Hall of the Machine King. Recall the warning note from X. One of the cryptids is planning on crossing a gate here. Naturally, you've already completed the puzzle by the time you read this note. A closer look at the 3 door gateways shows cat paw prints leading from 9's scrawled note through the open Dead FM gateway. Additionally, players who refused to believe the monkey's lies and returned to that secret area found the room had also changed. The accursed cryptid had finally been dealt with. Fear it no longer. Congratulations, Kid Wizard. You are the chosen one. Go now and rest. You've made it to the very end of the game. Now there was a dome or curve light in the room. In it was a clipboard containing a conversation between 2 Monogon employees. MonoChat. Secure void communication. Employee read, So this is how Gammon's accessing the Voidway? Seems kind of dangerous since they aren't securing the pathways. Could lead to actual material extraction. Employee Blue. No worse than us. At least they aren't piping the Voidway directly into people's cerebral cortex. Employee Red. The consequences here are insane. You have to realize just how big of an impact this could have if anyone manages to bridge the device. Employee Blue. Of course they have. We would do the same. It was obvious they were entering. I can't think of any private companies beside maybe Saberlake that have crossed in. Employee Red. Careful, they could be reading this comm. They have opened Pandora's box. If they have figured out serial item duping, it is possible to extract even our secure channels. Employee Blue. This table won't cut it, but if they manage to get here with a headset, Gammon could route through Boneworks into Myth. I'll patch now. This clipboard, embedded in a room only accessible to the completionist Duck Season veteran, teases out some initial backstory for Monogon, its competitor Gammon, and the mysterious Voidway that both companies are using to fuel their goals. I believe this communication goes further and explains how Arthur Ford discovered his pathway into the Void. This claim will be made clearer in the next video when the specific events of Boneworks are discussed in detail. Given that this and two other pieces of evidence, the warning note from X and the thank you note from 9, mention the Void or Voidway, it should be described before going further. Up front, Alex from Stress Level 0 has clearly stated that there is no distinction between the terms Void and Voidway, other than shorthand. In Duck Season, you discovered that the Voidway was a separate dimension that harbors dangerous cryptids like the dog, cat, and presumably the monkey. They escaped or were pulled from the Voidway into David's reality in the game. The Voidway also contains beings who aren't evil in nature. The mysterious X entity has managed to enter the Void and communicates directly with both the player and Duck Season's David. In the Stress Level 0 metaverse, the Voidway transcends and connects all realities, including our own. The room in which you find the Monogon communications clipboard is in the Void. In this space, time has no meaning and dimensions collide, which is why you're able to read a communication in 1988 about a company that won't discover the Voidway for another 2 years. The Void can manifest in different contexts depending on the reality. For example, in Duck Season, the Voidway is a place, and in our universe, it is a concept. Digging deeper into grasping the Voidway and how it connects with multiple and varied realities, Alex provided these handwritten notes on how Duck Season can be interpreted given different contexts. The first image reads, Duck Season is a parallel existence. In our universe, in real life, it is a VR game. In the Boneworks universe, it is a simple, flat game. In X's existence, it is a book. In Duck Season, it is a recursion bubble with branching timelines. What it is depends on what level of reality we are on. The second image is a diagram Alex provided to help better understand the layers upon which realities and the Voidway touch and interact. And here is my attempt to clean up this image for video consumption. In Boneworks, the Voidway itself is never described, but the museum level defines void energy as chaotic matter that forms the foundation upon which Myth OS stands. Quantum void energy particles exist in multiple places at once, providing the perfect glue that holds instance matter together. Unimaginatively dangerous if left unchecked, void energy should be handled with extreme caution. As the Myth OS has now been introduced, let's turn to the company behind Myth OS, Monogon Industries. It began as an audio device maker, Vocal 8, in the 1960s. The Vocal 8 logo is still in use within Boneworks and can be seen on radios throughout. The company rebrands and branches itself several times, from Vocal 8 to Monotape, to Monodisc, and so on. In 1988, the Monodisc home edutainment Polysystem is released as competition to Gammon's Kingbit gaming system. In 1990, the company discovers the Voidway and reissues their Polysystem, which is now powered by Void technology. That same year, it begins development on the precursor to Myth OS, referred to as Old Myth. A mere 2 years later, the company rebrands to Monogon Industries and begins pumping research and money into building a simulated reality based on experiments in the Voidway. Meanwhile, the Polysystem and home computers powered by Old Myth become ubiquitous. By 1995, Monogon is in every home, expands into several aspects of human life, from telecommunications to housing and food programs to education and wearable technology. Unlike real-world computer technology and operating systems, Monogon's MythOS is powered by an artificial intelligence called Voidmind that designs and procedurally generates itself. MythOS City is incomplete and planned for launch a year after the events of Boneworks. It is comprised of 6 instanced districts. 1. Core System Architecture. 2. Commerce. 3. Libraries and Frameworks. 4. System Security. 5. Administrative Services. And 6. Virtual Sciences. It is an all-encompassing operating space for a digital lifestyle constructed almost entirely by AI. In Duck Season, Gammon played a central role as the hardware supplier for the Kingbit game system, and as distributor for the cursed Duck Season cartridge that David placed in the game. Gammon discovered and experimented with the Voidway, and those efforts brought a Cryptid, the dog, out of the Voidway and trapped it in the cursed Duck Season game cartridge in David's reality. The dog is aware of both David and the player because if the dog succeeds in murdering David, he looks up directly at the player in the dead ending, or says his goodbyes after trapping the player in the stuck forever ending. In Boneworks, Gammon is Monogon's chief competition and provides Arthur with the means to halt the MythOS clock. A clipboard in the archival storage room indicates that Monogon is worried about Gammon snooping around MythOS City when it releases, so it seems likely that Gammon might make an arrangement with Ford to gain unauthorized access to the OS prior to its planned launch in 1997. If this is true, Ford appears to simply use Gammon as a means to an end, and it is unclear what Gammon specifically hoped to gain by helping Ford. The Saberlake Protection Agency only seems to play a behind-the-scenes role in Boneworks. Notable sightings include its logo on the case that holds real-life Ford's VR headset. Saberlake appears once more during the closing moments of the game. Throughout the game, various symbols are found scrawled on the floors and walls. These symbols are pulled directly from the Safety Containment Procedures Foundation, a fictional online wiki where authors contribute stories, often about demons, cryptids, the paranormal, other dimensions, and so on. In Boneworks, these markings appear to be from X, and they can bypass the fourth wall. The SCP Foundation does not exist in Arthur Ford's reality, so the markings and messages left by X are for you, the player. X appears to be helping the player and safeguarding our reality, whereas other entities that are aware of the player have only shown malice or disinterest. The last bit of framing that I want to provide is the concept of curve light technology. Notice in this piece of art found in Duck Season that there appears to be a virtual world being generated and contained in this domed table. There are hints in Duck Season that its universe is contained in one of these curve light domes. It may be that each world in the Stress Level 0 universe, from Hoverjunkers to Duck Season to Boneworks, is its own curve light domed instance of reality, and are all connected by the Voidway. With all but one of the major pieces of the Boneworks jigsaw puzzle introduced, let's widen our understanding of the Void and how Monogon, Gammon, X, and Ford are using it. Recall that Void energy holds instance matter together. In other words, Monogon is using Void energy to power their MythOS simulation, create MythOS City and everything in it, including Ford, once real-life Ford from the opening cutscene dons a headset. And while the bulk of the gameplay experience in Boneworks is delivered through the medium of this MythOS virtual reality simulation, it should be clarified that in the Stress Level 0 metaverse, the Voidway is not virtual or a simulation. It's real. Gammon has used it in the past to bring creatures into David's reality. X is worried that the dangers of the Voidway may spill into our reality, and appears to be taking measures to protect us. Monogon is using Void energy to power its MythOS virtual simulation to power MythOS and directly piping the Void into the minds of the inhabitants of MythOS City. However, these users are separated from the Voidway by the Boneworks backend, such that any death in MythOS forces them to resurrect within the operating system. Real-life Ford, security director of the Boneworks project, has discovered a resurrection vulnerability in MythOS and intends to exploit it in order to transfer his mind into the Void with the hope of achieving immortality. These intentions are verified by the writings encountered at the outset of the game. To reach the Voidway, he must shut down the resurrection field outside of MythOS, which can be achieved by stopping MythOS's system clock. With his objective set, Arthur Ford's journey begins. This concludes the foundation segment of this Boneworks lore guide. The next video will finally dive into the events, characters, enemies, and landscape of Boneworks itself, using the fundamental concepts and array of actors defined within this guide. Thanks for tuning in.